When I was 9 years old, a man in a white SUV stopped in front of my brother and me. He reached out of the glass door and waved us closer. I don't know why, but my heart clenched. That feeling, that chill, changed me forever. The following year, on Halloween night, I again saw a mysterious black sedan silently following the neighborhood kids, then disappearing when an adult approached. No one believes me. No one sees what I see. And for the next 7 years, I began to live with a nameless, faceless shadow, but always present. He never spoke, never stepped too close, but he knows where I am. And one day, I realized, I'm not just being watched. I am being hunted. This is a true story. A memory that spans almost a decade. About a white car, a black car, and a pair of eyes that never blink. Welcome to After 0 Hours. I grew up in a remote neighborhood, nestled between endless fields and winding dirt roads. It's called a neighborhood, but it's really just a cluster of about a dozen houses, scattered in a crescent shape along a rundown stretch of an old highway. There are no convenience stores, no streetlights, no friendly neighbors, just the distant barking of dogs and nights so quiet you can hear the wind in the trees. When I was a kid, I thought it was wonderful. I had the sky to look up at, fields to run around in, and a little brother who followed me around like a shadow. Every afternoon, we would take the dog out to the road, let it run wild in the grass, and imagine we were treasure map explorers. I remember it was a hot summer day. The wind blew in from the fields, blowing dust and the smell of dry straw into our hair. I was 9 years old. My brother was 7. We were competing to see who could throw the branch farther when in the distance. The rumble of a motorbike engine sounded from the main road. The car slowed down as it approached us. A white SUV. A large, high-chassis vehicle with tinted windows and dust covering the body as if it had just come from a long journey. I found it strange because we rarely had strange cars passing by. People we knew drove small pickup trucks, and strangers didn't usually come here. The SUV stopped about 10 meters away from us. Side window down, a man reached out and waved slightly. "Hey, kids, can you come here for a moment?" His voice rang out. There was something fakely sweet that I couldn't name at that moment. Only felt extraordinary. I instinctively held my brother's hand. My brother, like any other 7-year-old, hesitated a bit and then took a step forward, looking innocently at the stranger. "What's the matter?" my brother asked, his voice faltering. The man leaned forward a little. I remember it clearly. He was white, with curly blonde hair, tanned skin, a loose gray t-shirt, and a faint tattoo on his arm. His eyes, a cold pale blue, didn't smile. He wasn't like the adults I knew. There was no warmth, no tiredness. He was like, hollow. "I got a little lost," he said, tapping his fingers on the wheel. "Do you know anyone around here who sells drinks? Or anyone old enough to live nearby?" The question sounded innocent enough, but something inside me rang with alarm. I didn't know why, it just was. Deep down I know I shouldn't get close. I pulled my brother back. "I don't know. I have to go." He laughed, a half smile, cold and short. There was nothing friendly in it. "Oh, that's okay. Just wanted to ask," he said, then pushed up his glasses. The car still didn't move. I took a few more steps back, pulling my brother along, eyes never leaving the car. And then, had turned around. Turn around on a small path between two lots. Not the main road. It doesn't lead anywhere. I know because it's just the road into an abandoned lot, a few dilapidated barns. Waist-high grass. I said nothing. My brother was silent too. We went back, and I told my mother. She frowned, but then just sighed. They must have lost their way. Not all strangers are bad people. I nodded, but I didn't believe it. Because I saw his eyes. Because when I held my brother's hand and left, I accidentally glanced into the backseat of that car. There was something lying there. A piece of cloth, a rope, and a pair of children's shoes. Red. I'm not sure my eyes are deceiving me, but the cold creeps from my neck down my spine. The feeling like I just escaped something terrible, it was breathtaking. That night, I couldn't sleep, and that was the first time I met him. No one called his name. I didn't know who he was either. We just called him by a simple name, a combination of everything we knew. The guy, the one in the white SUV, blonde hair, and never looks at you as a human being. A year after meeting the man in the white SUV, I thought I had forgotten him. Actually, It was more accurate to say that I learned to bury the memory deep down. Like someone burying a sharp object in the bottom of a drawer. Covering it with layers of old clothes. Pretending it never existed. I no longer thought about that cold gaze. Nor did I picture the rope and the red shoes on the back seat. My mother had been right. Probably just a lost soul. And I tried to believe it. Until next Halloween. I am 10 years old. Halloween was still magical then. It was one of the few times of the year when my Spartan neighborhood was lit up. Every house had decorated pumpkins. Strung red and orange lights on their porches. And some people had made plastic skeletons to hang on their doors. Children would run from house to house in groups. Clutching cloth baskets or plastic buckets shaped like cat heads. Shouting, "Trick or treat." As if this were another world where magic really existed and the darkness was just a backdrop for the lights. I dressed up as a cartoon character whose name I can no longer remember. My brother wore a plastic astronaut helmet. Proud as if he were going to Mars. Mom followed, as she did every year, holding a flashlight and laughing at the children's screams. But that year, something was different. A car. A black sedan. At first, I didn't notice it, just saw the pale yellow headlights sweeping across the grass by the roadside. Thought it was a parent driving slowly after their child. Like every year. But then I started to see it in more than one position. As my group, about 6 kids, went from number 11 to number 15. The car followed, keeping a distance of about 30 meters, stopping every time we stopped. At first, I just thought it was strange. But by the third time, I started to see something is wrong. The car had no music playing. No one got out. There was no sign that it was waiting for anyone. Just, it is always there. Another mother in the group, Miss Julia, was the first to suspect. She turned to my mother and whispered, "Do you see that car? I've seen it all the way down the street." My mother nodded, her face slightly furrowed. Then something happened. As we reached a house at the end of the row, Julia stepped away from the group and walked toward the car, which was parked at the curb. Lights still on, engine still humming. She raised her hand, intending to knock on the window. But before I could touch it, the car accelerated, not the normal backing up and turning. Bootsudden acceleration. The rear wheel lightly brushed the grassy edge, then made a sharp turn as if the driver had been waiting for that moment all along. People jumped. Children screamed. My mother pulled my brother and me toward her. Her eyes still glued to the car, which had disappeared behind the trees. No one laughed anymore. No one continued to play dress up. The lights were still on. The candy was still there. But the atmosphere had changed. Miss Julia whispered something to my mother. Then she turned to me and asked very softly, "Did you see anyone's face in the car?" I shook my head, but in my heart something old suddenly emerged. An image, a feeling, a chill from the nape of the neck down the spine. A car slowly following, a pair of cold pale blue eyes. No, I didn't see anyone in the car. But I seen this before. The group dispersed early that night. When she got home, my mother locked the door carefully, which she did not usually do. She walked around the house, checked the windows, and pulled the curtains. I asked her if she was worried. She said nothing. The next morning, people were talking. A neighbor, Mr. Martin, said he had seen the car before. The paint was matte black. The rear windows tinted. No license plate when he tried to write down the registration number on his phone. The car disappeared in less than 5 seconds. The police were called. They found nothing. No evidence. No cameras. No tire tracks. Just an unknown car following kids on what should have been the most fun night of the year. No one was kidnapped. No one was injured. But from that day on, Halloween in my neighborhood was no longer the same. Every year, fewer houses had their lights on. Children no longer walked in groups, but only with adults close by. Some people wouldn't let their children leave the house anymore. And inside me, a 10-year-old boy, something changed forever. I no longer believe darkness is merely the absence of light. I know the darkness can contain a watching eye. Someone who doesn't need to say anything. Just being there is enough to make the world around you cool a few degrees. Every time I heard the sound of a car slowing down behind me, I turned around. Every time I saw the yellow light reflected in the distance, I stopped walking, because I know he is still there. May not drive white SUV anymore. Maybe a black sedan without a license plate now. But that look, I will never forget. The summer of 2018 was one of the loneliest summers of my life. I was 15, on summer vacation, and for the first time I felt, not a kid anymore but not quite an adult yet. My friends were all away with their families. My mother was away on a business trip for a week, leaving me with my aunt, a nice woman who mostly stayed in her room and made phone calls all day in Spanish that I didn't understand. I was prepared to take it slow that week, but then a neighbor, the Grants, asked me to house sit and care for their old dog. 3 times a day, early morning, midday, and 9 p.m. It wasn't too difficult. They paid me a small fee, and I had an excuse to get out of the house. I like to travel at night. It's cooler, the roads are quieter, and I feel freer. But that night, I wished I hadn't leave home. It was 10:17 p.m. I knew because I just finished a long game and was panicking when I remembered I hadn't let the Grants' dog out. I grabbed my jacket, plugged in my headphones, and ran down the narrow street between my house and theirs. It was dark, moonless, and the only light was a dim yellow porch light that flickered as if it were about to go out. I got there, opened the door with the key, and called the dog out. It was old, slow, but obedient. When I opened the back door, it waddled out into the garden. While I waited in the kitchen, scrolling through my phone, that's when I hear the sound of the car engine running quietly outside. I stopped. No one was driving at this hour, especially here, a neighborhood of only 9 houses, and everyone knew everyone else. I moved closer to the window, and my heart skipped a beat. One-piece black sedan parked on the curb, right next to the house. The lights were off. No one got out. No license plate on the back. I ducked down, hiding behind the edge of the door. There is no mistake. That car is exactly like the car from Halloween night many years ago. I don't know if the people in the car saw me, but I felt watched. The feeling didn't come from my eyes, but from my skin, from the way every hair on my wrist stood up. Every cell in my body started screaming, danger. I backed away, my hands shaking, called the dog. He hadn't finished using the bathroom, but I couldn't wait. I opened the back door and stuck my head out. Come in, quickly. The dog waddled over. I slammed the door and locked it 3 times. The lights were still on inside, but I dare not go out the main gate. I pulled out my phone, intending to call my mother, but remembered she was in a meeting abroad. My aunt didn't know where I was. None of my friends were nearby. I alone, and I had to go back. I knew there was a little path behind Grant's house, a path that cut through the low woods to my house. I had walked it a few times during the day, but never at night. I opened the back door again, taking a deep breath, and I run. No light, no flashlight. There was only the smell of damp earth, the sound of branches cracking underfoot, and my heart pounding in my ears. I don't know if the car followed me, but I dare not turn back. I kept running, my feet caught in tree roots, my shirt scratched by thorny branches, cold sweat running down my back as if someone was touching me. When I saw the lights from my house through the trees, I almost cried. I fell face down on the back steps, but still managed to get up, open the door, and rush inside like a survivor who had just escaped the fire. I locked the door and sat there breathing like someone who had just climbed a mountain. And then I cried, not because of pain, but because feeling isolated, the feeling that no one understands what you just went through. No one is there to hold your hand when your heart is pounding with fear. That night, I pulled a chair to the window and sat there until dawn. I didn't see the car anymore. It was gone as if it had never been there. The next morning I went back to Grant's house to check. All was normal. No tire marks. No one would believe a car had been parked outside last night. But I know the guy is back. And this time, he knows where I live. I started running every afternoon in 10th grade. Not because I had to, or to lose weight like my mom said, but because I needed it. Needed the rhythm of my steps. Needed something to control, in a world that sometimes felt like it was falling apart. Running makes me feel safe. Every lap around the block is an affirmation. I'm still alive. I'm still free. No one can catch me. Until I stopped believing it. At first it was just a feeling. You know, that feeling like someone's watching you from behind. You're running, and you look back, and the road is empty. No cars, no people, but your heart still beats faster. At first I thought it was my imagination, or maybe I was listening to too many crime podcasts. But then I started see car. A white SUV. Same make, same shape, high chassis, dark glass. and dust around the wheel rims like it's been driving on dirt roads. The first time I saw it was on a Tuesday afternoon. I was driving down a small road that led to a field, a place where few people went. Because it was just grass and ditches. It was parked on the side of the road. Engine off, no one there. I drove past it, trying not to look too closely. But my heart skipped a beat. I know that car. I've seen it. When I was 9, when I was 10, when I was 15. It always comes back. And this time it comes back for me. I changed course, ran in a different direction. But every time I thought I had outpaced it, I saw it, around a corner. Parked far out of sight. Not close enough to be called tailgating, but close enough to know it is there. And then there was a time when I tested my faith. I ran later than usual 6 p.m. The sky was starting to gray. I turned onto a small dirt road leading to an abandoned industrial area. A place no one had visited since the factory closed. No car. I feel relieved. Until I heard the sound the wheel crushes the stone behind. I turned around, and my heart dropped to my stomach. The white SUV. This time it is moving. Not fast, but coming towards me. Silent, quiet, like a beast stalking its prey. I started running, no longer for exercise, but for survival. I didn't turn my head. I just heard the steady rolling of the cart. No horn, no headlights, just the sound of the engine. Heavy and slow like the breathing of something huge and deadly. I turned right, across the vacant lot. Thorns caught in my pants, tearing my knees, but I didn't stop. I ran headlong through the broken fence, through the alley between two abandoned warehouses. And when I looked back, the car is gone, just me, and my own panting. I stood there, knees buckled, heart pounding. I wondered, how did it disappear so quickly? Where did it go? Was there really someone in it? Or was it just a remote-controlled empty car? Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to cry. But most of all, I feel hunted. That night I went home. Locked all the doors, drew the blinds, and for the first time in years, I dreamed of that look. Pale blue eyes, empty, as if looking through me, not seeing me as human. I didn't tell anyone, not my mom, not my friends, because who would believe me? A kid who is alone all day long, says there is a mysterious car following him? But I know, and Izzy knows too. A few weeks later, I took Izzy for a walk, and as I was leaving the residential area, Shepaz growled softly, ears erect. I looked in the direction it was looking. White SUV, far away, stopped under the shade of a tree. Unmoved. Only wait. I turned back, didn't say anything, but from that day on, I started carrying a pocket knife every time I ran. And I began to understand. I wasn't imagining things. It wasn't a coincidence. He wasn't just passing by. He is testing me. And sooner or later, he won't just stand by and watch anymore. I used to think I was smart. I used to think, if something kept happening over and over again, I could just change one little variable to test it, like a math problem. If he only showed up when I ran at 5 p.m., then I'd run at a different time. Change the time, change the direction, go against the grain. And if that white SUV hadn't shown up, I could have consoled myself that it was all just coincidence. Just my imagination, just a childish fear growing over the years. I did it one Sunday morning. The sky was lightly misty, the sun barely breaking through the thick clouds. I started at 6:15 a.m., an hour when no one was out in my neighborhood. No cars, no people, just the chirping of birds and dew on the grass. I turned left, following the opposite path to the one I ran every day. Run 10 minutes, no big deal. Run 20 minutes, still fine. I feel relieved. I think, see, it was all my imagination. And then I came to a familiar bend, a turn onto a dirt road that led to a vacant lot that had been abandoned for years. I didn't mean to turn in. I just glanced, and my heart stopped for a beat. There, the white SUV. Parked, quiet, glass still tinted, no rear license plate. I stood still, my heart pounding in my throat. How did it get here? I changed my running time. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't post anything online. No one knew. So why? He still knows. I stopped running. I walked back, each step heavy as a stone. I didn't leave the house all day. I didn't sleep that night either. The next morning, I tried again. This time it was 10 a.m. And here appear. Same spot, same distance. As if he knew I was coming. As if he knew my every move. I started to fall into a state of near-death paranoid. I covered my computer webcam. I uninstalled location tracking apps. I used a VPN. I turned off my phone's location. I stopped sharing any of my activity online. And still, him appear. One afternoon, I running. I just stood behind my second floor window. Pulled the curtains back enough to see the street. Holding my phone to record. And at exactly 5:14 p.m., the white SUV drove by. Slowly, not in a hurry, like it was strolling. I took a video, sent it to my best friend. He finished watching, silent, then asked, "Are you sure he followed you? Or are you just seeing what you want to see?" That question was like a knife. Because I'm not sure anymore. I begin lose confidence in yourself. I don't know if I'm being watched, or if I'm just locking myself up in fear. I told my mother. She listened to me very attentively. Then she just put her hand on my shoulder and said, "Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but the important thing is, don't let it control you." I nodded, but inside I was screaming, "No. He's in control. Every run, every thought, every sleep, he's everywhere. Even when no one sees him." I look in the mirror every morning. Saw a pale-faced, sunken-eyed, skinny teenager. See a child living in an invisible cage which it does not know how to open. One afternoon, I decided to go for a run. A long run, away from the house, away from the fields, away from all the familiar roads. I ran 3 blocks to a newly opened park in the suburbs. There are people, there are children, there is sunshine, there is laughter. For the first time in weeks, I felt normal. I sat down on the bench, opened a bottle of water, and sighed. Looking around, I saw that no one was paying attention to me. I smiled, a real smile, the first in a long time. Then I got up and walked home. And as I approached my row of houses, I saw him, the white SUV, parking right in front of my house. Not far, not hidden, not avoiding, like a message. You can't escape anywhere. I stood still. My hands were shaking. I didn't scream. I didn't call anyone. I just stepped back, go back inside, locked the door. And for the first time in my life, I realized he was more than a man. He was a symbol, the embodiment of a faceless nightmare, a presence that needed only to be there to destroy all peace. It was a scorching hot day, the pavement steaming underfoot. I almost didn't go running. But then I thought, if I'm so scared that I don't dare leave the house, isn't that the same as being held captive by him? I set off at 4:45 p.m., choosing a new route, a wide loop that crossed the vacant lot behind the abandoned church and joined the forest road. That road is rarely used. There are almost no houses, just a few old warehouses and an abandoned water pumping station. I brought my phone, a pocket knife, and a water bottle. I kept reminding myself that I just exercising. But deep down, I know, this is a test, a gamble, and I'm waiting to see if he shows up. The first 20 minutes were peaceful. I felt like I had escaped. It was hot, but there was a light breeze. Sweat soaked through my shirt. I turned up the music in my ears, trying to listen to the sounds outside. I turned into the woods. The shadows of the trees covered the dappled sunlight. I slowed down, breathing deeply, and then I saw it. The white SUV, parked in the middle of the curve ahead, blocking most of the road. Tinted windows, lights off, no one. I stopped. My heart was pounding, but I tried to stay calm. I took 3 steps back. I was about to turn back. But when I turned around, the black sedan from Where to Go, back block. It was as quiet as a ghost. No lights, no engine noise, just a sudden, eerie presence. I was sandwiched between 2 cars. 1 hour, click, echoed from the sedan. The front door is open. A man stepped out, not the blonde I'd seen. This one was taller, stockier, wearing a dark hoodie, old jeans, and a low-slung baseball cap. His face was unclear, but his stance was clear. He is coming towards me. I don't wait another second. I turned my head. Run. Leave your headphones behind. Leave your breathing behind. Leave your mind behind. I ran like I never ran before. My feet pounded the road like hammers. Eyes only looking forward, not looking back, but I listened his footsteps. Heavy, solid, closer and closer. I turned into the empty lot, dashing across the grass, stepping on the rusted metal sheets that had once been the roof. Every step cut into my feet, but I didn't stop. He still follows. I squeezed into the gap between 2 abandoned containers. squeezed through the broken fence, and then bend over and jump into the ditch. Rolled into the low bushes. Silent. I was covered in mud. Blood was flowing from my knees, but I dared not breathe heavily. My ears strained as if to hear every movement. And then, the footsteps stopped. A voice rang out, not loud, but cold as a forest wind. "That kid is fast. Not sure about next time." No laughter. No obvious threat. Just an empty word, but it made me stiff. I didn't know if he was going to leave. I didn't dare move for another 10 minutes. When I crawled out, no one left. The 2 cars were gone. No sound. No trace. No explanation. I trudged home. My eyes were blurred from the sun. My heart was still beating. That night, I lay on the floor of my room, staring at the ceiling, and for the first time I understood. There is more than one guy. Not just the blonde man in the white SUV. Not just the guy driving the black sedan. Not just empty eyes in the dark. Which is one system, a group, a network. They are organized, they observe, they learn behavior. And I was just one of the many children they had their eyes on. I told my mother the next day. She was silent for a long time. Then she said only one sentence. "I need us to call the police." I nodded. But I know, whether anyone believes me or not, whether there's a record or not, those people are still out there. Still walking on the empty roads. Still waiting. And still searching. I used to think I was just an unlucky kid, being stalked by a free-spirited psychopath. But after being stopped by 2 cars from both ends, I don't think so anymore. I started piecing it all together. The white SUV when I was 9 years old. The black sedan followed the kids the following Halloween. I saw that car parked next to my neighbor's house when I went to watch the dog. The SUV's recurring appearance as I jogged. And then they both appeared. The one in the sedan rushing out to chase me as if it had been practiced before. There is no doubt. I am not being followed by anyone. I am being tracked by a system. I went online and searched for missing persons within a 100-mile radius of where I lived. And when I saw the list of children who had disappeared without a trace, without witnesses, without cameras, without license plates, I found myself survival is not luck, but responsibility. I started writing everything down. Schedule. Location of vehicle appearance. Description of vehicle. Description of person. All details. Date. Time. I save all videos and pictures. Every time a vehicle appears, I take a picture. No matter how blurry or clear. I ask friends in the area if they have a door camera to let me extract the image. I don't post on social media. I don't yell. I keep quiet, like they do, and I learn the language of patience. When I had enough evidence, I made an appointment with the police officer my mother used to know. At first, he thought I was just an imaginative kid. But when I opened the computer, showed the images, compared the covered license plates, the duplicate signs, and especially the recording from a microphone I had hidden near the fence where the SUV had stopped, a change of face. They opened an investigation, not public, quiet as they work, and 3 months later, they busted it. Part of a human trafficking ring that targeted rural youth. Not the whole thing, not the final boss, but an important part. Among those arrested was a blonde man who used to work as a security guard in a nearby town. I recognized him. He no longer looked at me with that cold gaze. He bowed his head, his hands cuffed, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. It's not me running anymore. It is them. I'm still running. Every morning and every afternoon. I still set foot on the ground as an affirmation. I am no longer a prey. I am a survivor. I talk to schools in the area. I share my experiences. I volunteer for anti-kidnapping campaigns and child tracking. I am no longer afraid to tell this story. Because I know, someone needs to hear it. Someone is starting to feel watched. Someone is doubting his senses. And maybe, someone is standing on the edge of a survival run like I once experienced. Checkmark conclusion. What did I learn from this story? Trust your intuition. If something makes you uncomfortable, don't ignore it. It's your instinct to protect you. Record and save everything. Memories may fade. Evidence does not. Don't let fear turn into silence. Predators survive because you keep quiet. You are not alone even if it feels like the whole world has turned its back on you. The truth will always find its way. If you keep it alive in your heart. Headphone. Thank you for listening. If you see this story alert, honest, or if you have ever experienced a similar feeling, please leave a comment below. Speak your mind. Say what you never dared to say. Speech balloon, you can type, "I'm still running," to let me know you've overcome a fear too. Thumbs up, don't forget click like if you support brave survivors who dare to speak out. Push pin, and if you want to hear more stories true, chilling, and instructive, let's subscribe to After 0 Hours channel, where we tell what happened after 0 hours, when there is no one left to witness. And you are left alone.